Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Bhagavad-Gita as it is, 11th chapter. Today we'll do 46-47, page 523. I'll read the 46, then we'll chant 47. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head, with club, wheel, conch, lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. Purport. In Brahma Samhita stated, Ramadi Marteshu Kala Niyamena Tatistam. Lord is eternally situated in hundreds and thousands of forms. And the main forms are those like Rama, Nrsimha, Narayan, etc. There are numerous forms, but Arjuna knew that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, assuming his temporary universal form. He is now asking to see the form of Narayan, a spiritual form. This verse establishes without any doubt that the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all other features originate from him. He is not different from his planetary expansions, and he is God in any of his innumerable forms. In all these forms, he is fresh like a young man. That is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One knows Krishna becomes free at once from all material contamination. Text 47. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Prasanena Tava Junedam Rupam Baram Darish Shitam Mayat Tejo Mayam Vivisham Anantam Ajam Jain Me Tvad Anyena Nadrishta Pura Pupurvam word for word. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Supreme Personality God said, Yamaya, by me, Prasena, happily, Baba, unto you, Arjuna, O Arjuna, Idam, this, Rupam, form, Param, transcendental, Chasitam, shown, Yoga, by my internal potency, Teja, Mayam, full of effulgence, Vishvam, entire universe, Nantam, unlimited, Ajam, original, Yat, that which, May, my, Tat Anjena, besides you, Nadrishta Purvam, no one has previously seen. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency the supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primeval form, unlimited, full of effulgence." Purport. Arjuna wanted to see the universal form of the Supreme Lord, so Lord Krishna, out of his mercy upon his devotee Arjuna, showed his universal form, full of effulgence and opulence. His form was glaring like the sun. It had many faces, rapidly changing. Arjuna showed this form just to satisfy the desire of his friend Arjuna. This form was manifested by Krishna through his internal potency, which is inconceivable by human speculation. No one had seen this universal form of the Lord before, but because the form was shown to Arjuna, other devotees in the heavenly planets and other planets in outer space could also see it. They had not seen it before, but because of Arjuna, they were also able to see it. In other words, all the disciplic devotees of the Lord could see the universal form which was shown to Arjuna by the mercy of Krishna. Someone has commented that this form was shown to Duryodhana also when Krishna went to Duryodhana to negotiate for peace. Unfortunately, Duryodhana did not accept the peace offer, but at the same time, Krishna manifests some of his universal forms. But these forms are different from this one shown to Arjuna. It is clearly said that no one had ever seen this form before. Om Argyanantaram Dasya Jana Jana Stakaya Sakshu Mitam Jena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Danti Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Alright, so before we begin, I'm going to read the commentary by Baladev Vijabhushan, since its universal form is a complex, complicated subject matter, and by hearing from Baladev Vijabhushan, we can get a better understanding of this subject matter. Baladev Vijabhushan writes, "O Arjuna, you requested to see this form. Being pleased with you by your own inconceivable power, Atma Yogat, I have shown this brilliant form of the Supreme Power, which is situated within me, your object of love. I am like an actor, or the Vidurya gem, capable of showing many forms and colors. This form of mine has not previously been seen by anyone else. Now, however, but not being the main object of mercy, the Devas and others have also seen this form. I have shown this form, which can be seen only by devotion to you, because you are my devotee. And I have shown it to the Devas and others also, who also are devotional, in order that there will be many witnesses to what I have shown you. The universal form that Duryodhana and others saw at Hastinapur was not of this type. This has not been seen previously by anyone." As a footnote, When Krishna attempted to persuade Duryodhana from war, Duryodhana tried to capture Krishna. Krishna at that time showed his universal form. Hold on again, I'm just shot. I'm used to that. So, here we have the universal form is finished, which Arjuna requested Krishna to show him for the sake of the common man, to prove that Krishna was not an ordinary person. Someone is claiming to be God or Bhagavan, then we can request them to show their universal form. If they can do that, we can accept them as an expansion of God. If they can't do that, then we know they're not bona fide, they're cheaters. Many cheaters in the world today, calling themselves Bhagavan, and can do some magic, produce gold in their hand, or bring a piece of fruit from somewhere. And people are fascinated by this show of magic, and they foolishly accept someone as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even in Bhakti-Vinod Thakur's time, he was the district magistrate, and when a bhikshu was claiming to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was imitating the Rasa Leela, causing disturbance. So Bhakti-Vinod Thakur had to arrest him and prove that, because he knew he wasn't God and that he was cheating people. So Bhakti-Vinod Thakur put this man in jail. But he did have a lot of mystic power, and Bhakti-Vinod Thakur's whole family became deathly sick. But at any rate, Bhakti-Vinod Thakur brought this man to court, and when the lawyers knew the secret to his power, and that was in his hair. So when they brought this man to court, they cut off his hair, and he fell unconscious. That was the end of Bhagavan, the end of God. So he was obviously cheating the people to get false prestige, to get whatever material benefits, not to help people become Krishna conscious. So, Parasya Shakti, Vidaya Shiriyate, when Krishna comes to this material world, in whatever form he may come in, he comes along with all his other energies. It's not that Krishna comes alone. When the king is coming, when they announce that the king or the prime minister or someone is coming, they don't have to say that he's coming alone. They never say he's coming alone, because everybody knows he's going to bring his secretaries, his security guards, so many people are going to come with him. So in the same way, Krishna doesn't come alone in any circumstance. In the Brahma Samhita it says, Ramadi Mirteshu Kala Yinmei Natitistam Nana Vataram Akaro Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabha Paramam Pramanyo Govinda Maripusha Tamaha Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Raman, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc., as the his subjected portion. So these are some of his principal incarnations. But the Lord comes in many forms, like the waves in the ocean. No one can actually count them or describe them. But the principal ones are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. And tomorrow is the appearance day of Lord Nrsimhadev. And we observe that by fasting all day till the time when Lord Nrsimhadev appeared. He appeared at dusk. Because Lord Nrsimhadev is a incarnation of the Lord, but he came to kill Hiranyakashipu, who was torturing his 5-year-old son because he was a devotee of Vishnu and he considered him his enemy. So when Hiranyakashipu wanted to be the supreme controller of the whole world, he wanted to pose to Brahma. He wanted power. So he performed austerity. He went to the forest, was standing on his toes for 100 years with his hands up. And even though his body was gone, the ants ate his body, he still had his bones. He was keeping his life air in his bones. And Lord Brahma came there and saw him. There was fire emanating from his head, and all the demigods were feeling the heat. So they complained to Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma said, I will take care of the situation. So Lord Brahma went there, sprinkled some water on Hiranyakashipu from his water pot, and rejuvenated his body. And gave him a new body. Then Lord Brahma told Hiranyakashipu, you can ask for any benediction you want. So Hiranyakashipu wanted to be immortal. In other words, he wanted to live forever. But Lord Brahma is not capable of giving that. No one can give that benediction. But Hiranyakashipu gave so many requests, it seemed like he covered all the areas where he could be killed. Not by human, not by animals, not by weather, not by wind, not by any other living entity, not by storm, not by nature, not so many ways. He was granted so many benedictions. But he was not successful. Same as Ravana. Ravana was also devotee of Lord Shiva, and he had been given the same benediction that he would not die in any way except in the hands of a human being. And Hiranyakashipu even got the benediction that he would not die even by a human being. So Lord Nrsimhadev came and without breaking any of the promises he gave Lord Brahma, easily put Hiranyakashipu on his lap and ripped open his stomach and killed him and pulled out his heart and destroyed Hiranyakashipu. So this is one form that he says here that there are many primary forms which we hear about in Srimad Bhagavatam. Reading about Vamadev. Vamadev was another form of the Lord who came in the form of a dwarf, Brahmana dwarf. And Bali Maharaj was the king of the demons at that time, and he said to Vamana, Vamana said to Bali Maharaj that you can, I want some charity. So Bali Maharaj said, okay, you can have whatever you want. So Vamana said, I just want 3 paces or 3 steps of land. So Bali Maharaj didn't think that was a very intelligent request because he had so much opulence. So, but Bali Maharaj's spiritual master, Shukracharya, had some opulence, had the vision to know and see that Vamanadev was not an ordinary person, but it was the expansion of the Supreme Personality Godhead. So he advised Bali Maharaj not to keep your promise, not to give him anything. Because if you give him what he wants, he's going to take everything from you, and then I won't get my maintenance. So he was afraid of his material position. So Bali Maharaj rejected Shukracharya as his spiritual master because he gave him ill advice. So Vamanadev did expand himself, and he took everything in the material world with 2 steps. Then he asked Bali Maharaj, where should I put my 3rd step? And Bali Maharaj said, you should put it on my head. So these 2 stories are there in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 8th canto. And all these stories about different incarnations of the Lord are very pleasing and interesting to hear about. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared 500 years ago. He's Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayaya. He's non-different than Radha and Krishna, but he came as Bhakti Avatar in the role of devotee. So he heard the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj hundreds of times from Gadadhar Pandit. So he liked to hear these stories. We like to hear these stories because they're transcendental, they're on the spiritual platform. We can hear them again and again and get pleasure from them again and again. So here also it says that Krishna comes in these different forms, but he's always youthful. Advaitam achyutam anandim anantarupam Ajya Purana Purusha Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Dulabam Adulam Amabhakto Govindamari Pusha Tama Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, attainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, who is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. So Krishna came 5,000 years ago, and he had his pastimes as first he had his Kumar, which was 1 to 5, then his Puganda, 6 to 10, and then he has Kishore, age 11 to 16. And Krishna never gets any older than between 16 and 20. They have a deity in Chennai. Krishna has a mustache, and they asked Prabhupada about that. Prabhupada said that was not bona fide, because Krishna never gets old, can grow a mustache. He's always has a youthful form between 16 and 20. So all the other forms of Krishna also exhibit this youthfulness. They eternally remain the same. So even though Krishna was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he was 120 years old. He had great-great-grandchildren, so many wives, so many children, but he was still looking like he ever-fresh youth. And the same thing was there with these queens in Dwarka and the gopis in Vrindavan. They all maintained their ever-fresh youth. So in this way, this is the opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is not something to be imitated. The Christians say God's an old man with a gray hair, a big beard. Well, we don't accept this as bona fide. That God's an old man with no face. They don't know what he looks like. Or they say God is so big you can't get close enough to see them. So they really don't have any knowledge about the name, form, qualities, pastimes of the Lord that we have in Krishna consciousness. So most people were disappointed with the Christian religion. And when Prabhupada went to America, they asked Prabhupada if they thought Christianity had failed the people, and Prabhupada said, yes, I think so. And because of that, we had the opportunity to buy all the churches. In the beginning, when the America was first discovered or populated, people were more religious, and they built a lot of churches, and people were going to church. They had some religiosity was there a little bit. But time moved on in Kali Yuga, people become less and less religious, become more and more atheistic. So all the churches became empty, and only a few old people would go there on Sunday. So they didn't know what to do with the buildings, so the devotees were able to buy many properties in America and around the world, very nice properties with big buildings suitable for temples. So in all the major cities in America, we have Krishna conscious temples, which used to be, not all of them, but most of them used to be churches, but no one was going to church. So they sold the building. Sometimes they were very stubborn, and they didn't like this, so sell the building to devotees. They were envious of the Krishna conscious movement for making people into devotees, and they didn't like the devotees, so we had to hire a lawyer and do something so they wouldn't know that we were buying the building. So then somehow we got all these nice buildings, and they make nice temples, and Prabhupada was pleased with all these temples, and Prabhupada visited all the temples as he traveled around the world 14 times in 12 years, and in every temple they made a nice room for Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada could live there and stay there comfortably. But Prabhupada said the story about Narada Muni, who converted all of the sons of Daksha. There was 10,000. He converted them. Daksha told his sons to become brahmachari, not to get married. Daksha ordered his sons to get married and populate the universe. They didn't want to, but Narada Muni convinced them they shouldn't do that. Then Daksha had 1,000 sons, and Narada Muni also did the same thing, convinced them that they should follow in the footsteps of their brothers, which made a total of 10,000 plus 1,000, 11,000, that they should also stay brahmachari and not get married. So Narada Muni then said so many bad things to Narada Muni. You're not a gentleman, you don't know how to act properly, that people should get married when they get through household life and get tired of it, then they can retire and take the renounced order. And he cursed Narada Muni, you cannot stay in one place. But Prabhupada wrote in the purport that I have so many temples around the world, so many nice facilities for staying, but I also can't stay in. I've been cursed by the parents of my disciples, so I can't stay in one place. I have to keep moving. So Prabhupada requested that his sannyas disciples would take that curse on their head so that Prabhupada could sit in one place and finish translating Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this way, the Lord comes, the Lord appears, and he appears with his different energies to, here in this chapter, he's showing you universal form, but it's not supreme, and it's not the two-armed form. And Arjuna is asking the Lord to show him his four-armed form first. He was very disturbed. And this form, universal form, was different than other forms because it had a glaring effulgence and it was always moving, and the time factor was also one of the features, Kala, Shakti. So it says here, by Atma Yogat, that by my internal potency, Krishna says, I have shown you this eternal form by my internal potency. So Krishna has this internal potency, and this comes with him when he descends to the material world. Yada yada hi dharmasya yani bhavata bharata abhutanam adharmasya trinatmam sujamiham vinaya sadhunam vinisha diskritam. So Krishna says he comes by his internal potency, yuge yuge, millennium after millennium. Millennium is one day of Brahma. So he comes in this form as Krishna, as with a dark complexion. Krishna has 4 Yuga avatars. When the in Satya Yuga he's white, and Treta Yuga is red, in Dwapara Yuga he's black, and Kali Yuga he's yellow. Krishna Varna Trisha Krishnam Sangopanga Rasanam Yagnar Sankirtan Prayer Yantihi Sumeda Saha. When Krishna comes in Kali Yuga, he came as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he disguised himself as Bhakti Avatar, and he didn't have a dark complexion, he had a golden yellow complexion, because Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayaya, he's Radha and Krishna combined. So he came to taste the mellow, to taste the pleasure that Radharani gets by serving Krishna, by loving Krishna. So he's golden color on the outside, but he's black on the inside. So he's also Krishna, but in Yuga, he's the Yuga avatar. When Lord Chaitanya went to Jagannath Puri, he immediately went to take darshan of Lord Jagannath. At that time, he fell into ecstatic trance and fell unconscious on the floor. And the Chowkidar in the temple thought he was some madman. They wanted to beat him. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who happened to be there at that time, and stopped them and took Lord Chaitanya to his house and laid him down on a platform and examined his body to see if he was still alive. But he didn't show any sign of life, so he wasn't sure if he was still alive. Then he took a piece of cotton and held it up to his nose, and it moved slightly. He could understand that Lord Chaitanya was in some kind of ecstatic trance. So, but still, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya could not accept that Lord Chaitanya was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he was a Mayavadi. he was the reservoir of all bad logic. But Gopinath Acharya, who was the son-in-law or brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Acharya, proved to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that Lord Chaitanya was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he did appear in the scriptures in Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam, confirmed that the Lord does come in Kali Yuga as a Yuga avatar, even though in different places it says Tri Yuga, that Krishna only comes in 3 yugas, but he does come in the Kali Yuga as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami said, Namo Mahavendaya Krishna Prempadayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namo Guru Namaha. The Lord Chaitanya was the most merciful incarnation of the Lord, because he came to give what no one else has ever given before, Prema Bhakti, with no conditions. When Krishna came, he said, Sarva Dharma Prachaja Mamaitam Saranam Vraja. Everyone first surrendered to me. The Lord Chaitanya didn't make those any conditions. So Lord Chaitanya took birth in Navadvip, appeared as the son of Mother Sachi, and stayed in Navadvip for some time. Then he went to Gaya and met Ishvara Puri and that's when he came back to Navadvip, exhibited ecstatic symptoms, and started his Sankirtan movement, or the chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then Lord Nityananda, who was traveling for 20 years until that time, also came to Navadvip and joined Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda came there, or manifest their forms as Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Lord Chaitanya started showing his devotees his different forms, and people could understand that he was a pure devotee of Krishna, and not just a scholar. Before that, they were thinking he was just a pandit, a scholarly person. He was a proud scholar. Then he changed his mood. Then Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya didn't like that. He said to Lord Chaitanya, why have you taken sannyas at such an early age? He said people should only take sannyas after 3/4 of their life is finished, like Madhavendra Puri or Prakashananda Saraswati. Because sannyas life is a life of surrender of body, mind, and words, and means material suicide, no more attachment or association with women, and no more sex life. So it's difficult for a young man to give up sex life, and it's always a possibility if someone takes to sannyas too early that they will fall from their position and go back to household life. So, but Mahaprabhu said that I was feeling so much ecstatic symptoms and love of God that I couldn't maintain household responsibility. I just couldn't live as a householder anymore. So I had to take sannyas. Then Lord Chaitanya explained the Atma Brahma verse to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in 61 different ways, and then he showed him his form, his Sadbhuj form, 600 form. 2 arms are Krishna, 2 arms are Lord Ramachandra, and 2 arms are Lord Chaitanya. And these are principal incarnations of the Lord. Then Lord Chaitanya asked Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, what do you think, Bhattacharya? Do you think I'm ready to take sannyas? So he couldn't argue about that. So here it says its universal form was shown to Arjuna by the mercy of Krishna. Guru Krishna Prasade Bhai Bhakti Lata Bij. We know by the mercy of Krishna, by the mercy of the Guru, Yasha Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, Yasha Prasada Narakinta Gopi, that one can take to devotional service. So that not everyone could see the universal form, but the demigods, the devas, and people on other planets who were in the disciplic succession, they could see the universal form, which was shown to Arjuna. Therefore, principal disciplic successions, one from Lord Shiva, one from Lord Lakshmi, one from the four Kumaras, and one from Lord Brahma. So we're in the Brahma Gaudiya Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, coming from Lord Brahma. So people who are in the disciplic succession, if someone is claiming to be a guru, claiming to be a spiritual teacher, claiming to be this and that, he has to be in one of those disciplic successions, otherwise he's not accepted as being bona fide. So the other sampradayas, they have different, they deviate, they're not the same as we are. They wear different kinds of tilak, they may chant different mantras, but they all have the same opinion, they all agree that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one can argue, they can't argue about that. They all agree about that. So people are in the different sampradayas, but they are able to practice spiritual life and attain perfection by being in those different sampradayas. If they have a Sadguru who's a pure devotee, if they have a pure spiritual master, then they also can make advancement in spiritual life. Otherwise, anybody in any other order, if they're not in any sampradaya, then we can't accept them as can't be accepted as bona fide, and they can't expect to go back to Godhead or make spiritual advancement. So this form of the universal form was shown to Arjuna, and this form was never seen by anyone else before. So it was seen by Arjuna, and was also seen by the Devas, and also seen by people on other planets. So the scientists teach in the schools, and a common understanding of people in this age, Kali Yuga, that there's only life on this planet, and there's no life anywhere else in the world. But this is to be refuted over and over again by Srila Prabhupada in his purports in Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and here in this purport, that every planet, there's life on every single planet. It's not that there's only life on this planet. Because the human beings, we have 4 defects. We are illusion, we make mistakes, cheating propensity, imperfect senses. So they can create some instrument, some big telescope to look in the sky to see what's going on up there. But because they have imperfect senses, whatever, they create some kind of machine or telescope to look and see what's in outer space. It's imperfect, so they can't get a perfect understanding or see what's really going on. And Prabhupada also, over and over again in his purports, defeated the idea that they went to the moon. And Srila Prabhupada was in England, 1969. They were watching the moon landing on television, and Dhananjaya was massaging Prabhupada. But he wasn't doing it right because he was trying to watch the television at the same time, and Prabhupada was chastising him because he wasn't doing it right. So they watched the whole thing, the moon landing, which I also saw in school at that time. And the whole world saw it, and everyone was convinced, yes, America has actually gone to the moon, landed on the moon. When they turned off the television, and Prabhupada said they never went to the moon. Because all the Vedic literature declare that the moon is not a barren desert. Krishna says, I enter each planet, by my energy they stay in orbit, I become the moon, thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. So you can't get many vegetables from a barren desert. They claimed that the moon was a barren desert, brought back some rocks, which are on display in Washington in America, moon rocks. So the whole thing was just a show, because they don't really have the technology to go to the moon. The moon is a heavenly planet, and to go there by mechanical means is not possible. And its sun is 93 million miles away, and the moon is 96 million miles away. And they say they went there in 3 days, came back without refueling, didn't get any radiation burns, didn't made a big hoax. The whole thing was a big hoax. You can't go to the moon by mechanical means. You have to have karma. It's like if you want a foreigner, if you want to come to India, you have to get a visa to come to India, or they won't let you in the country. So to go to another planet, you have to have the karma to go to that planet. You can't go there by your own endeavor. So they never actually went to the moon. And Prabhupada defeats this misconception over and over again in his purports in Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this way, Krishna showed this universal form to Arjuna. It wasn't the same one that Duryodhana saw. When Krishna went to make a peace settlement before the Battle of Kurukshetra, he went to Duryodhana, and Duryodhana was envious of Krishna and the Pandavas from their very childhood. So, one time Krishna was taking rest in Dwarka. He was laying on his back with his eyes closed, and Duryodhana came there and was sitting by his side waiting for Krishna to wake up. And Arjuna came there at the same time and was sitting at his feet. So after some time, Krishna opened his eyes and he saw Arjuna first. So since Arjuna was his friend, he said, "Oh, Arjuna, you've come. How can I serve you? How can I help you?" But Duryodhana protested. He said, "No, I came first, so you should ask me what I want first." So Krishna said to our Duryodhana, "Okay, what do you want? You can have me on your side, the Battle of Kurukshetra, or you can have my armies. Which do you want?" So Duryodhana was a foolish person and could not accept, even though he saw the universal form, and he saw Krishna personally, was sitting there in front of Krishna. He thought it was wise to take Krishna's armies rather than have Krishna on his side. But Arjuna was Krishna's friend and knew if Krishna was on his side, there was no chance of them losing the Battle of Kurukshetra. So in this way, Duryodhana did see a universal form, but it wasn't the same one. It didn't have the same effulgence of the one shown to Arjuna. And the one shown, it wasn't moving. The one Arjuna saw was moving very fast, very effulgent, very much fearful, and very elaborate. The one that Duryodhana saw was not elaborate, was a lesser form. So this is the last verse. 46 was the last verse about the universal form. Now Krishna is going to show again appear in his four-arm form and then in his two-arm form. So time is finished. We can stop there. Any questions, comments? The common man, the Christian man. The question man's here.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. As you were putting last example of Duryodhana and Arjuna, they were sitting, Duryodhana was sitting at the head and Krishna was sitting this one on his feet. Then he asked Duryodhana for question, he told him, then Krishna told him, if you want me, I will not fight. If you want my army, you take. He mentioned that I will not fight. Then Duryodhana thought it is useless to take Krishna, better I take his army. So this is one point. And another point is that you said Narad Muni, he was traveling and Daksha children, they wanted to, Daksha wanted to have the family, these children, but Narad Muni made them devotees. And he was giving example of Prabhupada, that Prabhupada also, he made his devotees and he was cursed by his parents, the devotees' parents. So devotees' parents, they are not devotees, and how their curse came to Prabhupada. Can you explain something there?
Well, Prabhupada was just saying that as for some reason or other, which I can't explain, because you know in Kali Yuga curses don't have effect, but he was thinking in that way that he had to keep traveling, but it may not have been a curse, because in America people don't even know what curses are. So Prabhupada just mentioned that so he could sit down and translate Srimad, stay in one place and sit down and translate Srimad Bhagavatam, but that never actually happened. But we can't take it that they actually cursed him, because people don't have the power in Kali Yuga, especially materialistic people and sinful people, don't have any power to curse anyone. Even in Australia, they wanted to curse someone, so they took out their Brahmin thread and chanted some mantra and went to curse someone. But no one could. When you curse someone, you're supposed to break your thread, but no one could break their thread. So you can't actually curse anyone. You have to be a Brahmin, you have to have a thread, you have to chant so many mantras, you have to be a qualified person to curse someone. So he was just using that as a analogy to prove his point, but they couldn't actually curse him, but he did have to travel all over the world and couldn't stay in one place just for the sake of spreading Krishna consciousness.
Prabhu, one more point. Just like you were giving the example of Shukracharya, when Bali Maharaj promised Vaman Dev that he will give everything, and Shukracharya was worried that he will not get anything. If Bali Maharaj give everything to Vaman Dev, then he will get nothing. But when Lord says that he is maintaining everyone, even the ant he gives one grain of sugar, and even the elephant he gives one of food for them. So Lord is maintaining everything. Then how this Shukracharya, he could not understand that Lord will maintain him.
Shukracharya was a materialistic person, and the kind of maintenance he was getting, he was afraid that he would lose his maintenance. He wasn't thinking he was going to starve to death or something crucial. He didn't think that anyway, I can't speak for Shukracharya. All I know is he didn't approve of the fact that Bali Maharaj keep his promise to Lord Vishnu. These the way the purports is not. We don't know the mind of Shukracharya. I can't speak for Shukracharya, but he didn't want to become a penniless beggar. But Bali Maharaj didn't mind giving everything to Vamadev, becoming a penniless beggar. Shukracharya didn't want to become a penniless beggar. So the Krishna's maintaining everyone, but some people have to sit outside in front of the temple and beg all day. And some people have, crores of rupees and big cars and big houses. So it's not Krishna's maintaining everyone, but according to their karma, they have to are put in some different situations. Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhagavad-Gita, Granthas Bhagavad-Gita ki jai.